Wonderful. Welcome. This is our soccer video class tonight on creating your own highlight video. This is a topic that I often get a lot of questions about, especially for athletes that are young and maybe want to have a number of different videos on their profile. You do have the option to create your own film, right? And many of you will have the ability to have our team create film for you, but this can definitely be something that you use in your own time. And so tonight we're going to be talking about best practices for how to create your own highlight film, as well as some of the tools that you can use at your disposal to create your own films. So I do want to give people a moment or two to get into the room. So if you could just take a minute, tell me your name, tell me your grad class in the chat box, and we will give people a moment to get in here tonight with us before we really jump into the content of this class. If you are unfamiliar with Zoom, you'll see a little red bubble pop up on the screen. That's the chat box. Take a minute, introduce yourself. The chat box is also going to be the easiest way to interact directly with me tonight, so please feel free to ask questions as we go. Yeah, and I can see a lot of different athletes tonight, a lot of 29s, 28s, 27s. Yeah, and creating your own highlight films is something that any grad class can really do. It's definitely a valuable skill to utilize. It can be very nuanced. So please know tonight, I'm going to show you some tools. I'm going to talk you through some things, but there's a lot of other tools that you can use. They constantly are changing. They're constantly evolving. And so really it's going to be a matter of what tools do you have access to, right? And then what are the easiest ones for you to utilize in your situation. So welcome this evening. All right, when we look at the class tonight, we're going to talk about a couple different things. Okay, we're going to be looking at the importance of video, especially having a high quality video on your profile. It definitely can impact your recruiting process and hopefully in a positive way. All right, we're going to talk about some key considerations. So some things essentially for how we can actually create the best highlight we can. And I do see a question in the chat box that is asking about, is this different for goalkeepers? Right, goalkeepers can definitely create your own highlight video. Right, the biggest thing for goalkeepers is going to be that we want to make sure that we're using some training footage. Right, so we'll definitely be getting into specifics for positions, but it will be a little bit different for goalkeepers. I am running a goalkeeper class later in the month that you can also jump into, but this is going to be more about how can we actually create our own highlight videos. It will be vary depending on position as to what we want in those films, but there are still going to be some key considerations that we'll look at tonight. We'll talk about what coaches want to see from positions, and then we'll talk about some of the specific tools that you can utilize that are free for you, as well as some paid tools I'll give you some information on. And then there's going to be some Q&A as well. So know that this class is all about you. So please ask questions as we go. It is being recorded, so that will be sent to you after the fact as well. And there will be some resources I share with you too. So there'll be some resources on some of the free platforms that I mentioned tonight. There'll be some resources on using some of the videos and even some YouTube videos when they show you exactly how to do it. So we'll give you some of that after the fact. That will come tomorrow in my follow-up. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump in here. All right, talk to me about this in the chat box. Tell me your thoughts on why you need a highlight video on your profile. Give me those thoughts in the chat box. Yep, showcase your skill. I'm seeing showcase your ability. So coaches can see positives and negatives of how you play, showcase your skill set, size, speed, strength, and skill. Insight into abilities helps you stand out. Yeah, and essentially, guys, that is all of the above hit the nail on the head. But when we look at recruiting, right, when coaches are on our platform, when they're evaluating athletes, the number one thing they look for is having film on the profile. Because the very first question that they're trying to answer in the recruiting process is, does this athlete make my program better athletically? They can answer that question by seeing you play, right? They can see you play in person. They can see you play at live events. We can also increase our reach with coaches by having quality film. And so having video on your profile is going to be key to increasing the number of views that you have from college coaches and the number of followers. And so the more video we have, the higher quality video they have, the better. Okay, and definitely have the ability to create your own film, right? And a lot of athletes, especially as we're getting started with this, if we're younger, they will take the time to create your video, right? And when we look at what a quality film is, we are looking for a 2 to 5 minute film of you in your ideal position, showcasing the skill sets that we want to see from your position. Ideally, we are using game film for your highlight video. Okay, and the reason we prefer game film for field players is because, right, game film is unpredictable. As a team, you are having to respond to whatever the opponent does. And so coaches are evaluating you in a game setting where it's not a controlled environment like a training session is. And so that's the preference for field players. Okay. If we don't have game film, we can certainly use skill footage. That is perfectly okay. Whether that's training, whether that's individual training, right? That is usable if we don't have game film, but the preference is game film. For our goalkeepers, game film is definitely something coaches want to see. The problem with game film for goalkeepers is that you are limited to whatever the other team does. So as a coach evaluating athletes, I may go to a game and I may not see a goalkeeper do much of anything in the game. They may make 1 save, 2 saves. They may only make saves off services. And so for goalkeepers, we will use training footage to showcase a variety of skills in one setting. So that is something that we will talk about as we get there. Okay. Biggest thing in these videos is we need to showcase different skill sets in your position. We need to be able to identify you on the field. And the ideal is that you are in relation to an area on the field and players around you so that we can actually see tactically what you're trying to do. Okay, so that's what we're trying to create if we're making our own highlight video. Things that we really need to kind of avoid, right? Number one is either slowing down or speeding up the footage. The moment we do that, okay, even if it's just to skip over a really slow part of the film, it brings into question, right, the accuracy of the coach's evaluation. So if I'm watching a film and then all of a sudden it speeds up because the ball's out of bounds, right? Subconsciously, I'm going, okay, is the whole film sped up, or is this just this moment? Like, it just brings into question something that we don't want to put in the coach's head. And same thing if we slow things down, we want to see you executing at game speed. So we do not want to mess with the speed of the film. Okay. Part of that comes into effect when we actually see screen recordings. And that is something that we see a lot from people that are sending us footage or trying to create their own footage, is they're making screen recordings, right? So maybe they have the game on their computer, they're recording it with their phone. And what that does is that generally will take a high quality video on the computer and then shrink it down into what the phone is able to record. And that messes with the speed of the video. And so screen recordings can get really tricky when trying to create a high quality footage, okay, or high quality film for coaches. Other things to avoid is commentary on there. So sometimes we see people put like words in there, like, oh, I play the ball here, or I play the ball there. Avoid that. Let the coach watch the play. They're going to be able to evaluate whether or not that play happens, or we don't need to tell them everything that goes on. Okay, so as we're creating film, we want quality video that we can then put into a 2 to 5 minute highlight that showcases you in your primary position, executing the primary skills that are required of those positions. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. Okay. So tell me in the chat box, where do you currently get your film from? Is it from your phone? What platform are you using? Is it a Veo? Is it a Hudl? Is it a Trace? Where do you have the majority of your footage? Tell me that. Yeah, we've got Hudl, we've got Veo, we've got Trace, I've got phones, I've got a camera, GoPro. Yeah. And so when we look at soccer films, okay, whether it's you're making the film yourself or whether it's our video team is actually making the film, the majority of our soccer footages are coming from Veo Film, Trace Film, or Hudl Film. Those are the 3 main platforms. Okay, whether athletes make the film themselves, whether, right, our video team is making the film. right? All three of these platforms have video in HD, which is high definition, which is the highest quality film that we can use. All three of these platforms have tools that you can use to edit highlight videos on your own. Okay, they allow you to mark films, they allow you to clip films, right? And they allow you to create highlights on their platform. Okay, and the other nice thing about all three of those platforms is they have a good Q&A section as well as a help section to help you understand how to use those tools. So if you are already in those platforms, Trace, Veo, and Huddle, right? Those are going to be excellent places to start. And the biggest advice from our video team is to use the platform where your video is stored, okay, or where it currently is, because it allows you to maintain the quality of the footage on that platform and allows you to edit directly on that platform. Okay, because one of the bigger issues that we see when people are trying to create their own highlight video is that they have a video on maybe a VO, and then they're trying to take that film, compress it, put it into a different editing system, and then create a new film. And that affects the quality of the footage and the ability of us to create a well-intentioned highlight video. Okay, so if you can, if you're on Veo, if you're on Trace, if you're on Huddle, explore ways to edit your film directly on that platform. Okay, that may mean you need to talk to your coach about what access they have, or you might need to call their helpline to see what access you have to edit. But those are going to be the best places to create your highlight video, right? To save you from messing with the quality and also just for ease of export. We can use the Veo footage, edit in Veo, export from Veo. That makes it a lot easier than having to go through multiple platforms. If you're in any other system, so if you're not on those three, okay, there's going to be definitely other options for you as well, right? The biggest thing we definitely want to be aware of is when we have our video on a platform, right? Many people will send us film or try to screen record the film like we talked about earlier. There's a couple issues with this. We mentioned one, which was when you're screen recording. So we've got that VO game up on my computer and I'm recording it on my phone, right? That decreases the quality of the footage. So it goes from high definition to a lower quality film because my phone can only record so much. The other big common mistake we see is that people are screen recording with their phone and they're using the camera or the phone in a vertical orientation. So this way, right? And so when I do this, what you're seeing on the screen in that picture is the film becomes what we call letterboxed, right? And that basically means the film goes from being full screen to now it's to the size of the phone, which it's even smaller than we can see. And that is very, very difficult for coaches to evaluate. And because it's small and it's gone from HD to a lower quality, it is very difficult to have quality playback. So the speed, and a lot of times it's pixelated, right? So that's the number one reason we want you to try and edit in whatever platform you're at, okay? Other issues is with screen recordings, depending on the platform that you have. Many of those companies do not allow us to use screen recordings. Okay, so if you send us a screen recording of Veo, we are not allowed to use that to create a highlight video. That is a legal issue that Veo has with us using the screen recording. Okay, so please know that if you're screen recording, we may not be able to use it because the company, Huddle is a prime example, they do not allow us to use screen recordings from Huddle, right? Because they don't want us to use that platform. There's a couple exceptions to that. NFHS, which is the National High School Association, screening for video, they allow us to use screen recordings, so that's allowed. And Game Changer allow us to use screen recordings, right? But most of them don't. So know that we will struggle to use screen recordings if that's what you're sending us to create film, and if that's what you're sending us to put on your profile. Okay. If you're going to screen record in FHS or Game Changer, please do it in a horizontal orientation so that it captures the entire footage. Okay. When we want to create clips ourselves or films ourselves, there are a couple platforms that we see people use consistently, right? If you have footage on your cell phone, CapCut is one of the better ones to use because you can actually create the highlight directly from your phone, right? It is free. It comes with some basic editing features. It actually has highlight templates, so you can actually use a template. You would simply take the video from your phone, you would insert it into CapCut, then you can reorder it, you can put marks on it, right? That's one of the most common ones we see. And I actually have a really good resource for you that I will send you as a follow-up. It's basically a YouTube video that shows you exactly how to use CapCut, if that's something that you want to do. You can also use it on a browser or computer. So if you have film on the computer, you can use CapCut there too. The other one we see quite commonly is Canva, which is actually a design template. So you may be familiar with that, like designing presentations, designing websites. They've started to have some basic video editing tools as well, and some templates. So those are the two big ones that we see quite often outside of the Veo, the Trace, and the Huddle. Okay. Those two have free options that you can use pretty effectively. I put 3 other ones up here. Capwing is fairly new. I haven't used that one myself, but I've heard it's got the highlight videos, templates, allows you to add transitions and some other effects in there. It does start free, and then depending on the effects you want to use, it may have a paywall, so that's something to keep in mind. And then Filmora and Adobe, again, start free or have a free trial, and then they become behind a paywall. So it really depends upon how much film are you going to be creating as to which one you're going to use. CapCut is the one I would start with. Canva is the one I would start with because they're really user-friendly and they actually start free. So those are the 2 that I really recommend for you. Tell me in the chat box, have you used any of these platforms in your editing? Yeah, I will say I think Apple iMovie is another one. So if you have a Mac, like iMovie is definitely one that you can use. Fairly straightforward as well. I think Adobe is probably the best one, but it's also the most expensive and the most intensive. It's actually for professional editing. It might be a little bit overkill depending upon how involved you want to get in this and how much time you want to invest. I also use iMovie as well. That one can be straightforward as too. Big things when you're looking at your film, though, is making sure you set up the project and export the project properly. So if we're filming, like if we're going to go film an activity, make sure it's in the horizontal orientation if we're using our phone, and that way we can stretch the film to the entire width. And then when we're using resolution-wise, we want to try and get the film to be in these 2 resolutions. They give us the best quality video, right? So 1280 by 720 or 1920 by 1080. Those are things that you're going to want to be looking for because they allow the best playback speed as well. Okay. And many of the apps that we mentioned, once you create it, you then actually have to export it to be able to put it on your profile or to send it to our video team. And many of those will have a best for YouTube link, which is like, this is the best format to export it, to post it on YouTube. And that is going to be the easiest way to get that onto your NCSA profile. Okay, and so when you're looking at creating the project, try one of these, but then you also have to export it to be uploadable, right? And so on your profile, when we go to upload it, so we've made the video, we've got it the best exported, so it's the best for YouTube. We post it on YouTube, and then we upload it to the profile on YouTube. That's the easiest way to do it. If you're on Huddle, you can link directly. You can also put it on Vimeo. But if it's on Veo, if it's on Trace, once you create the highlight, you can either download it and upload it to the profile here, or you can actually send it to our video team and they can upload it. Okay, so there's a couple different processes there. Capturing your film, picking a system that you're going to use to create the highlight, and then exporting it so that we can upload it to the profile. Okay. Now let's do this, all right? Tell me, what do coaches want to see in a highlight video? All right, and to keep this position specific, tell me your position. So if I'm a goalkeeper, type goalkeeper, what do coaches want to see? Center forward, what do coaches want to see? midfielders, right backs, whatever that's going to be. What do coaches want to see from you? So tell me that in the chat box. And while you're answering that, I'm going to tell you in the next couple weeks, I am running a ton of classes on video essentials, right? So video essentials for forwards, video essentials for defenders, video essentials for midfielders. And we're going to really get into specifics of what we want to see in film from positions. So if you're kind of sitting here going like, oh man, I don't really know what those coaches want to see from us, those classes are coming up. You need to jump into NCSA University and sign up for those classes. Yeah, so I'm seeing some good responses here, right? So I'm seeing goalkeeper, distribution saves, and shot blocks. Definitely true. Attacking center midfielder, playmaking, key passes, creativity, and finishing for all our attacking center midfielders. Strikers, scoring goals, off-ball movement, 1v1. Yep, definitely. And scoring goals in different ways, right? So what surfaces can you use? Are you finishing off services behind defenders, in front of defenders, right-footed, left-footed, all sorts of things. Yeah, outside backs, 1v1 defending, attacking. Yeah, so you guys have an awareness of like what are the positional strengths, right? Or what are the key qualities of the position you're playing, right? Those are going to be things that we want to see in your video. Okay, so if I'm a forward, right, we're definitely going to want to see you creating and scoring goals and creating opportunities for other players. So we want to keep this in mind. So as we're thinking about, I'm creating my highlight video, what types of clips am I going to include? Because the goal of our highlight is to get coaches to evaluate us, right? And so we need to make sure we have the right clips in there. If I'm a forward and my highlight doesn't have me scoring goals, creating goals, or being dangerous, coaches aren't going to watch my video past 30 seconds. They're going to go, oh, this girl doesn't have any goals or any dangerous opportunities or beating players or creating spaces in her video. So I'm not going to watch the whole thing. So we've got to make sure that we understand what types of clips we need in our film and we put them in an order that keeps their attention. Okay. Yeah, and I appreciate the honesty of telling me you have no idea what to include in your film. That's perfect, right? So definitely sign up for my midfielder class that's coming up, right? We are here to help and to educate. And so I'm going to give you a broad overview tonight. So when we look at highlights for attacking players, so forwards, wide forwards, attacking center midfielders, right? We are looking for mainly, not only, but mainly attacking phases of play in your video. So what are attacking moments that we would see from your position? Okay. So am I showing goal scoring? Am I showing creating shots for other players? Am I showing combinations, 1v1 dribbling? All of those different attacking things, right? We definitely want to show some defensive ability as well, though, right? So I see a chat here in the chat, like I'm a forward, should I show high pressing? Yeah, we definitely want to show your ability to understand defensive positioning, to press and win the ball back, especially if it leads to a goal scoring opportunity. But that's not what we're going to lead with, right? So our video as attacking players should have mostly attacking moments in the beginning. And then as we get toward the end, we'll add some defensive moments as well. Okay. And in the ideal world, we would have video that has all of these moments. Okay. In the realistic world, that may take us a long time to get video of all of these different moments. So pick the best ones you can that showcase you in attacking phases of play. Okay. Yeah, and the question is, when is my goalkeeper class? I will have to look afterwards, but I'll send you a link to that class that's coming up. Okay. Yeah, as a striker, should I include clips of making passes inside the box, even if I'm not scoring them? Yes, if you're creating opportunities for other players, we definitely want to see that. Okay, so attacking players, our main objective to help our team is, can we be dangerous, creating opportunities for ourselves or other players? Okay, things to avoid in highlights: shots off frame, right? Mistakes, missed passes, right? Where this is a highlight, we want to showcase your positive moments. We don't want to showcase moments where we make a mistake. Okay. Defensive players, center backs, defensive center midfielders, outside midfielders, or outside backs, right? Again, we're going to be showcasing your defensive ability. Can you win your 1v1 battles? Can you tackle in different ways? If you win possession of the ball, do you help your team keep it? Right. And then we're going to be looking for, how do you help your team restart play? What's your range of distribution? Right? Can you play penetrating passes? If you're a wide player, can you have services that are dangerous? Right? Can you understand the organization of creating overloads with your movement off the ball? Right? Those are going to be some things that we want to see as well. Okay. Definitely want to see some aerial duels from our defensive players, especially center backs, defensive center midfielders. Can you win the ball out of the air? Can you help regain possession? Right? Those are going to be things that we lead with in our video. Other things we're going to want to see. Definitely some 1v1 attacking moments, especially for our outside backs. You're definitely going to be expected to go forward. We want to see your off-ball movement, right? We're going to see your penetrating passes and your intelligence, right? Those are going to be things that the defensive players showcase a bit more, right? We may not get in the box to score, but if we do on corner kicks, set pieces, we definitely want to include those as well. Okay. Goalkeepers, okay? Goalkeeper is the most defensive position, right? It's actually the most difficult to create highlights for him for the most part. Because if your team's having a great game, I used to tell my goalkeepers this, my favorite games for goalkeepers are when they didn't do anything. And they would tell me, but those are the worst games, Brittany. They're so boring. And I'm like, yeah, but that means our team's playing well. And so sometimes getting key skills from goalkeepers can be difficult, which is why those training footages can come in handy. Okay, so we definitely want to see footwork for goalkeepers, different technical abilities on how we receive the ball, what's the shape of our hand, what technique do we decide to do, right? And so we may actually have a training footage video for a goalkeeper and a game film video for a goalkeeper. Okay. Yeah, this is a good question in the chat box, and it says, like, for someone who plays multiple positions, would coaches like to see a mixture of different position qualities, even for playing in one specific position? Right. I play as a winger, a midfielder, and a center back. Yeah, if you're playing multiple positions, definitely showcase the different qualities that you have. Because in reality, everyone, you may actually play as an outside back for your team. And I may watch you play as a college coach. And I say, you know what? This player is an outside back for this team. But in my system, in my style of play, in my program, they're going to be a center back or they're going to be a center midfielder. So the qualities that you showcase on the field are what coaches are watching, and they may put you in a completely different place. One of the most common ones you see is people that play as a forward in club. All of a sudden they get to college and they're outside backs or outside midfielders. So showcase the skills that you have. Coaches are going to decide where they put you on the field. The only exception to that is probably the goalkeepers, who, once we get to college, you're pretty much goalkeepers. Okay, so those are going to be some broad overview. Part of my follow-up, I'll also send you some resources on position-specific things we look for. Again, we've got classes coming up for each position, so take a look at those on NCSA University. I'll have to look at the date for the goalkeeper one, but we want to make sure that we have the right quality skills in our highlight video. Yeah, and this is a good question too, is like, should I make a video for high school, club, or both? Right, and I get this question a lot. Right, here's my recommendation to you. Coaches want to see film of the highest quality that you have. So if that is club, make that be club. If that is high school, that is high school. The hardest thing for coaches to evaluate, besides film that's been sped up or slowed down, is going to be when there is an imbalance between teams. And so we want the most competitive film we can get in one film. If you have a very, very competitive club team and a very average high school team, make a club film, make a high school film. Because if you put them together, that's where it gets difficult to evaluate, because you're going to sit there and go, whoa, this was a really high level game. This is an average level game. What's the true level of this player? So it kind of depends on your situation. There's some very, very good high school teams that are very competitive. And if you're lucky enough to play in one of those, fantastic. Right. But if not, we may want to be very selective of what we put into our film. Okay. Also keep in mind that NCSA will create highlights for you. That is part of your membership. Okay, the big thing for that, if you want us to make films, is you have to send us the raw footage. And the ideal is that you send us the raw footage all at the same time. So if I want my video team to make a video, I'm going to send them the film I want in that video at the same time so they can just use it, create it, and post it. Right. So yes, definitely, if you want to take on the challenge of creating your own highlights, please do. Hopefully this class helped with that. But also know that we will create highlights for you. You just have to send us the footage. Okay. And we can use a lot of different film. You can send us full games, generally 2 to 3 games. Can't use more than that, really. You can send us ID footage. You can send us camp footage. You can send us scrimmage footage. And we can even create skills footage for you. Okay. I will recommend that if you're going to create skills footage, that you just create that on your own and save one of your edits for game footage, because that's usually a little bit harder, right? But we could, if that's all you have and you got skill footage, we can make that for you too. Okay, so just know that we can use any type of film. We just need to get that from you. And in order to get film to us, how you send it to us, again, depends upon the type of video that you have. Okay, so if you have Huddle, if you have Veo, if you have Trace, you're probably going to email that film to us. If you have it on your phone, you can upload it on the app. Right, so part of my follow-up again will be sending you all the information on how to get us different types of film. Okay, because we're here to help you. That is part of your membership, so don't be afraid to ask us to create films for you. Yeah, and the question in the chat box is how many edits does NCSA do? Completely depends on your membership. All right, MVPs, I think you get 5, elites, I think you get 3, and champions, I think you might get 2. So it depends on what membership level you are, but you have at least 2. Okay. You can submit video directly to us on your profile under the edit profile in the video tab, right? You'll see 4 different links here to get us film, right? And you can also, again, email us video, right? That's usually, you can also share with us. You can put all the video in a Dropbox or a Google Drive, and you can share that with the video team. So there's a lot of different ways you can get us film. Okay, there's a question in the chat box like, can we pay for more edits? The answer is yes, you can pay for more edits. I don't know the price off the top of my head, but you can always buy more edits. That's definitely a possibility. Okay, and I will warn you, as someone who used to delegate video to all of my assistants, it generally takes longer than you think it's going to create films, to identify the clips, to put them together, and then to export it. Yeah, and there's a good question in the chat box. You know, if we've made videos, but they're outdated, is there a way to remove them? Yes, you can remove them from the profile, right? You can do that yourself from the edit video page. If you can't find that, you can always ask us to do it. We can definitely remove them. We will generally tell you that you want to update your film at minimum every 6 months so that we can showcase to coaches how you're growing and developing, right? Especially depending on how old we are, there might be a lot of development between where we're at. Okay. Know that if you are going to send us film, it will take 10 to 14 days for our video team to create the highlight for you from the moment they get all the footage. Okay, so send it all at one time. Don't send a couple clips on Monday, a couple clips on Tuesday, a couple clips on Wednesday, because that clock to start your video doesn't start until we stop getting film, right? So it wouldn't start until we got all the film on Wednesday if you didn't send anything else. But if you sent stuff on Thursday, clock restarts. So every time we get new film, clock restarts. So send it at one time, so it's 14 days from that one upload. Okay. Video is key to helping us reach out to coaches and getting your information in front of coaches. Okay. So tell me this in the chat box. What is your next step from this class? What are you going to do? Yep, attending some of the classes is great, removing some of the old video. Yeah, and to be fair, like if you have a video and it's a year old, that's probably a bit dated, but we'd rather have you have a year-old video on your profile than no video. So if you have a year-old video, but you're going to upload a new one, then we can take that year-old one down. But if it's older than a year, you're definitely probably a very different player than what you were at that point. Okay. Keep in mind as well, MVPs, elite members, you actually have one-on-one coaching sessions with your membership to review your film and your profile. So as you're adding video to your profile, sign up for those one-on-one sessions. You can have that individual plan with our recruiting coaches and say, hey, here's what I see in your film. Here's what we need to see more of. Here's some skills that are missing, right? Here's some schools that I think would be a good fit. Like start looking at that as well. That's part of your membership too. If you have trouble with video, please, please, please call our member support team. They can answer a lot of questions. They can even connect you directly with our video team, and they're in the office 7 days a week. So I want to make sure you got this nice number on the screen that you can utilize at your discretion. Okay, so I'm also in the chat box going to put a nice 1-question survey. So please take a minute, fill that out for me. And then throw any questions that you have in the chat box and I will start answering those. Yeah, and I'll throw that survey in the chat box again, just in case. So hopefully tonight's class helped you a bit. I will be sending tomorrow a bunch of resources for you. Some of them, some videos on how to use some of those apps that you have, but definitely some positional specific information for you. I will also send the links to some of the upcoming upcoming webinars that I have on the position specific information. So that way you can also register for those, but highly recommend that because we go into a lot more detail on like specific things we want to see. If you have questions, throw them in the chat box. If not, thank you for your time tonight. Happy Juneteenth tomorrow, and know that I hope I see you in some future classes. All right, and we got some questions. Come in the chat box. Let me do this. Should you send highlight videos to coaches when you email them or get them a link to your NCSA account? You can do either one, right? So if you're using, if you send your link to your NCSA account and you have video on there, they'll be able to click the link and then see your video. If you have videos posted on like YouTube, you can also just send the direct link to them. It's completely up to you, but you definitely want to include some way to see your film because we want coaches to see your video, right? It's going to be that video that hopefully opens the door to more conversations. Yeah, and that's a good question. I just joined an ECNL team in the spring and played 11 games. Should I try the video from just those games? Yes. Okay, so if that's where you're at, you're playing an ECNL team, you've got 11 games that you played. I would pick your best, if you're going to send full games, pick your best 2 to 3 full games to send to the video team. If you have short clips, right, pick out your best like 5 minutes worth of clips and send those to the video team or create your own. Right. And then when you title the video, if you're making it, we want to include ECNL in the title so that coaches know what the level of the games are that you're watching and playing in. Okay, so put your club team name, put ECNL, put Spring 25. Yeah, and the question here is, are videos okay from different angles okay? The ideal video angle is elevated, okay, and it's zoomed out. It's not zoomed out so far I can't tell who you are, but it's zoomed out enough that I can see players around you. And the reason for that, and the field around you, because the reason for that is I'm evaluating what decisions you're making in relation to where the ball is and where the other players are and what part of the field you're on. So that allows me to see your tactical intelligence. So you can definitely have like sideline view, video from behind, but we definitely want to try and have it be elevated, even if it's just from in a bleacher or above the field, if possible. Yeah, and the question is how many videos should I have on my account? You can have up to 6 videos on your account. I think the ideal is probably 3. Coaches who want to see more than 3 are going to probably ask you for full games. They're going to ask you for more video. They're going to ask you to come see you in person. Yeah, and the question is, how do you get clips from VO by not screen recording? If you have a VO account, you should be able to download that, or your coach should be able to download the video. That is definitely something that you should have access to. If you don't, you can always reach out to the VO team itself, and they can actually tell you and walk you through how to do it, or talk to your coach or whoever has the VO account to see if they can download for you. Yeah, should you also send your social media profile in communication? Yeah, guys, if you're using social media, which is another avenue to utilize to connect with coaches, and you have video on there, definitely include that in your emails to coaches, right? And maybe even reach out to them on social media and share, direct message them on social media with your video. So don't be afraid to connect in different ways, right? We want to make sure that coaches are getting our information. Some are going to be really active on social media, some are not, some are going to be active on email, but we definitely want to make sure that we're sharing it. Yeah, and the question here is if I'm playing ECNRL as a 27 grad, will it grab the attention of higher level coaches? It depends on the higher level coaches you're looking at, right? If you've got specific schools in mind, go look at their roster, look at where those players are coming from and see what levels they're recruiting in, right? In general, we see ECNRL being recruited by mostly Division 2, some lower level Division 1s and Division 3s versus ECNL, which is generally recruited by the Division 1s. But it really just depends on how good your team is. There's good teams at all these levels, but look at the schools you're considering What level are those players coming from, and how does your team compare to them? Yeah, and thanks for the nice comments. I see some of you guys. Is it okay? Hold on. Is it okay to have video with just goals? It is okay to have video with just goals, but the ideal is that we kind of see the build up to the goal, right? So maybe it's a ball from the outside back to the center midfielder that plays a nice through ball to the forward who scores. That way I can see the timing of your movement off of the different passes. So that's going to be definitely ideal if we can see the build-up play. But scoring goals is always something that's going to catch coaches' attention, and especially if you can show scoring goals in different ways. Yeah, question is when you're using trace video and you're on the opposite side of the field, should you zoom in? You can zoom in enough that I can see like where you are, or at least put a marker there. Like if you can't zoom in, be like, this is me over here. And that way I can at least see your movement and I can see what you're doing and I can see if you get the ball. Yeah, the question is, should you email college coaches with video even if you're a 29 grad? My recommendation is if you're in high school, so you are entering high school, it is not too early to reach out to coaches. Now, if I'm a 29 grad, I need to be realistic that coaches are probably not going to respond to me because they're not necessarily ready to communicate with kids in my class. But I can make sure that they know who I am, that I'm interested in their program, where I'm playing, and they can view my videos. They have the chance to evaluate me. So it's not too early. Just know that we're probably not going to get responses. Yeah, MLS Next 2 is fairly new. So that's going to be a league that, you got MLS Next, which is the most recruited for the men, right? That's where a lot of the Division Ones are, right? MLS Next 2 will probably again be some lower level D1s, D2s, D3s, but it really just depends how that league takes off. We haven't seen that league significantly a lot yet. It also depends on how strong your club is in MLS Next 2. Yeah, and so this is good questions. Would coaches like to see personal player stats from a game to see players' work rate in matches? I know some teams use player trackers to track what players are doing throughout the game. Yeah, if you have that data, it's not bad to share. Okay, especially if there's programs that are using the same data. So if I have a specific player tracker that I use in my college team, and I know that my starting midfielder works at this rate, and this is the ground they cover, and this is what they're doing, their average speed, their average sprinting, whatever that's going to be, and you're a recruit that's similar matching to that, that can be an easy way to compare you to current athletes. So not a bad thing. Yeah, NALs are going to be similar, I think, to MLS Next 2. There's going to be some very good teams in that league, but it's a little bit outside of the MLS Next pathway, so it's hard to see who's going to be recruiting there. Best type of video for defender, outside backs, right? Defending outside back. 1v1 defensive moments, regaining possession, helping your team restart play. So distribution once you win it, or dribbling once you win it, right? 1v1 ability to beat players going forward, because at the next level, outside backs are going to be asked to attack. And then distribution. What's your range of distribution? Crossing the ball from services in the final third, but also can you play penetrating passes? What's your speed? What's your athleticism? Because you're going to be in a lot of 1v1 situations. And ideally, if you can showcase that you also have the ability to play outside back on the left side, that's going to make you more versatile. All right, everyone. It looks like I have run out of questions. Recording is tomorrow, resources tomorrow. Thanks for your time tonight. And we will talk to you soon. Reach out if you have any questions after the fact. I'm out for the weekend, but I'm back next week, so you will hear from me then. You're welcome. Yeah, have a great night, everyone.